trust not only me, but everyone around me.
I love that line. That was lovely. Let's have a listen to that again.
Sound check.
G'day and welcome back to another vocal analysis here at Voice Essentials. My name is Dr. Dan, and today we're going to have a listen to Kelly Clarkson. And I want to say from the get-go that I really like the sound of Kelly's voice aesthetically. That being said, I've always had a challenging relationship with the aesthetic of this voice because I've always had some questions around the functional efficiency of the voice. And so I think that'll probably come up in today's analysis. If you're a big fan of Kelly, I want you to know I really do enjoy her sound because as we go along, I think today is analysis and critique of her sound may raise some concerns, perhaps. We'll talk to it as we get going, and you can let me know in the comments section below what your thoughts are. We're going to be listening to her sing "Because of You." This is from 2012. This is 10 years after she won the very first iteration of American Idol. So it's quite a bit of way down the track for her as far as her evolution as an artist. Equally, she has come even further, I personally think, in her development vocally and as an artist. So we're really viewing this as a snapshot in time, albeit 12 years ago. Certainly, that's when the video that we're reviewing is labelled as being 2012. So if you've got any more information about the video we're watching, you can certainly let us know about that in the comments section below. Enough of the intro. Let's dive in and have a listen to Kelly singing "Because of You."
I will not make the same mistakes that you did. I will not let myself cause my heart so much misery.
Okay, so we do have to point the elephant out in the room. The pitch accuracy of this opening section, it's not on point. And you might go, no, that's all in tune. Yes, it is. But if we were to put that through a pitch analyzing software, we would find that actually she's quite wayward with her pitch accuracy. I don't personally hear that as a tremendous, detriment to the performance. If anything, it kind of adds to it, I personally think, because this song has so much heartache and just calling out for love, that desperation for the relationship is heard in the pitch inaccuracy, I personally think. That being said, I don't think Kelly's singing off pitch purposefully. When I say off pitch, it's not terrible. It isn't. But what it does reaffirm is this is a truly 100% live, performance. This is not being doctored. This has not been, reshot to have a better vocal. It is purely live, and we hear that because of the imperfections that we hear at this beginning. Have a listen also to the piano playing. I think he's fabulous. If you watch enough of my analyses videos, you'll often hear me referring to the accompanist because accompanists are so important in what we do. To find a good accompanist is like finding gold. It really is. And this gentleman is doing a bang-up job. Have a listen. Such feel. He really sets the stage.
will not make the same mistakes that you did.
She's up and
will
off.
not let myself cause my heart so much misery. And I will not break the way you did. You fell so hard. I've learned the hard way to never let it get that far. Because of you, I never stray too far from the sidewalk. And because of you, I learned to play on the safe side so I don't get hurt. Because of you, I find it hard to trust not only me, but everyone around me. Because of you, I am afraid.
I really honestly do love the aesthetic of her sound. So let's talk to, because it's one thing for someone to point out and say, well, she's a bit pitchy. It's another thing for us to understand why and what could be done to help refine that pitch accuracy. So let's identify what I believe is the reason for the pitchiness. And that is, and this speaks to the concerns that I've often had around Kelly Clarkson. Again, not necessarily in recent years, but certainly, back into the 2000s. And that is that her voice is under tremendous sub-glottal pressure load. There is, in my humble opinion, too much air pressure being sat up underneath the vocal folds. When we have too much what's called phonatory threshold pressure, the larynx is caused towards, it goes towards its primary function, which is to valve, which is to protect the airway. And it braces and it bears down. And in doing so, we get what's called false fold, supraglottic constriction. That is, the false folds want to bear down above and in behind the true folds. When we have that level of tightness within the larynx, it reduces the agility and the freedom, the efficiency of the vocal fold oscillation and the vocal fold's ability to stretch and move quickly. But if there's too much pressure, if there's too much, muscular clamping, then we find that really difficult to make those really minor adjustments. And again, it's not because Kelly Clarkson can't hear those notes. She's hitting the notes, but the voice is just loaded up with a bit too much pressure. We hear that as she gets into the chorus. In my humble opinion, and you may well disagree with this, especially if you're a passionate fan. You may, not like hearing your favorite singer critiqued in this way, but it comes back to this idea that when she gets to the first chorus, there is a super loading of the vocal folds, which is not yet necessary. I would like to hear her, measure out that build-in, pressed vocal a little bit longer so that perhaps where she arrives in the first chorus is actually where she arrives perhaps in the second chorus. That even being said, I'd prefer to not even have that amount of load because I don't think it's necessary even by the time she gets to the second chorus. Again, I want to stress this is 12 years ago. We're not making a comment on Kelly Clarkson as we would hear her today. We are making a comment on her from 12 years ago. So, leave your comments. I'm sure there's going to be a few. Let's keep going.
I lose my way, and it's not too long before you point it out. I cannot cry because I know that's weakness in your eyes. I'm forced to.
With contemporary vocals, I think it's a mistake to think that contemporary vocals don't need to focus in on breath management anywhere near as much as far as long phrases, being able to hold your air and sustain long notes. Because actually the importance of breath management, as we just highlighted, is the ability to manage the pressure, to not have the voice over-pressurized. When we're able to do that, it in turn gives us more air because we're not using as much here, can you hear? We'll go back and have a listen to the way there's quite a bit of shallow breath, which again speaks to this very point that I'm making is when we have shallow breath, it's going to be very shallow and held very high. And so again, the larynx is doing the majority of the work, where in fact we actually want the majority of the work to be through the abdominal wall, the rectus abdominis, the transverse abdominis, and the obliques. We want that area to be managing our breath, not up here. And as a result, she's having to constantly take quick breaths where there is not a necessity for breath. Okay, from here, have a listen to the breath.
I lose my way, and it's not too long before you point it out.
So just there, I don't think there shouldn't be a need to take a breath there. And you go, well, she's using that to accent the lyric. Yes, but you can do that without needing to take a breath. And so that's just a little minor technical point. Have a listen to that again.
I lose my way, and it's not too long before you point it out. I can't
Not necessary.
cry, because I know that's weakness in your eyes. I'm forced to fake a smile, a laugh every day of my life. My heart can't possibly break when it wasn't even whole to start with.
Again, I love the aesthetic of this. I think, that lovely movement up. But can you hear that slight rasp? We're starting to get into the sound. And that is born out of too much pressure. The vocal folds are not able to cleanly oscillate to give us a clean tone, which I think would be appropriate in this piece. I don't think this is, a matter that aesthetically the raspiness works necessarily better than a clean, because I think when we're doing belt like this, the aesthetic value comes from the intensity of the note, not necessarily the texture. But what it's costing Kelly Clarkson's voice texturally is, by virtue of that rasp now because of the loading. Have a listen.
Smile, a laugh every day of my life. My heart can't possibly break when it wasn't even whole to start with. Because of you, I never stray too far from the sidewalk. Because of you, I learned to play on the safe side so I don't get hurt. Because of you, I find it hard to trust not only me, but everyone around me. Because of you, I am afraid.
Oh, I love that little bit, just that little flick there. Can you hear that little? And it's a lovely little aesthetic, touch that she just throws a very slight colouring of upper register onto that, the onset of the note, and then drops it back down. I think it's very clever and I love it.
Around me, because of you, I am afraid.
Cool.
I watched you die, I heard you cry every night in your sleep. And I was so young, you should have known better than to lean on me. And you never thought of anyone else, you just saw your pain. And now I cry in the middle of the night.
So let's talk about that movement into that upper section, because normally when we're going big like that, I would like to see, certainly with my students, what we work on is having better grounding of the body, better for, holistic facility of a dynamic, buoyant body state, that we don't see any change in Kelly's general stature. And what that does is when we don't, fully activate the body for big notes like this, it requires the larynx to do all the work. And in this instance, the larynx gets there. That's not in question. Yes, it does get there, but it's costing the vocal apparatus, the larynx, far too much. She's overpaying for the item. And if she was able to access better support structure down low, and I'm talking right down into her thighs and her buttocks and pelvic floor, if she was able to do that, this is not going to have to work so hard. Great singing is not just about aesthetic. I mean, for us as the audience, certainly that's the primary thing we want to hear. We want to hear great singing aesthetically, and this is great singing aesthetically. For the singer themselves, it goes far beyond that. It has to go to efficiency, because efficiency speaks to longevity. And if you are spending, if you're living your vocal life in the red constantly, you will go bankrupt eventually vocally. You can't. You've got to learn to manage your vocal budget in a far more sustainable way. And we kind of get some insight here as to the voice just spending a bit too much. Have a watch. There's virtually no change in her physical stature as she goes big.
I was so young, you should have known better than to lean on me. And you never thought of anyone else, you just saw your pain. And now I cry in the middle of the night for that same damn thing.
One of the reasons she does get there, and I want to credit her with this, is her placement. It remains very forward and very consistent. And that is a positive. That's on the positive side of the ledger. As far as the aesthetic goes, she nails the note. It just comes back to, could have it been done easier for her? Yes, it could have. But certainly the placement of it, it sounds great. Again, aesthetically, love it.
Because of you, I'll never stray.
And there we hear some pitch inaccuracy just again, and it's in part because of what the voice has just had to do, the load it's been under, so that when it wants to come back down into lighter stuff, it struggles a little bit.
Because of you, I'll never stray too far from the sidewalk. Because of you, I learned to play on the safe side, so I don't.
Can you hear the voice? The voice starting to struggle there. Yeah, the voice is starting to struggle. And this is only after 2-3 minutes of singing. It should never be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. The voice can learn to do it in a far more efficient, sustainable manner. And we're hearing that sort of really distinctive rasp starting to come through, which is an indicator of that vocal challenge.
Because of you, I find it hard to trust not only me, but everyone around me.
I love that line. That was lovely. Let's have a listen to that again.
Hard to trust not only me, but everyone around me.
Lovely.
Because of you.
It's interesting. I want to have a listen to that again, because I wonder whether we're hearing actually a lovely vibrato to achieve what sounds like a riff and run, but it actually, the voice is just allowed to flutter a bit. And so you tell me how you think the voice might be creating that little melismatic run, that little riff and run. And tell me, give me your thoughts and ideas on that one.
Not only me, but everyone around me. Because of you, I am afraid.
She's a beautiful performer. And again, none of what I've said in critique. Remember, we're a Learn to Sing channel here at Voice Essentials. And so when you listen to my, reaction videos, they are coming at the angle from more of a, for those of us who are learning to sing and want to develop our own voices, listening to, amazing singers like Kelly Clarkson. And we're not suggesting that she's anything but an amazing singer. Aesthetically, you go a long way to find a better singer. I love her. But she is, historically, This is 12 years ago. Historically, The Voice, I think, is showing us some things that we can learn from at a functional level, technically, in how we can use our voices and apply them when we come doing songs as wonderful. It's a beautifully written song. I love the song Because of You. It really is fantastic. I will... It may well be with a level of fear and intrepidation that I read your comments. I hope you hear the comments that I've made today as being made respectfully. And I hope you'll leave your comments in the same manner. I look forward to reading them. And I hope that you'll take an opportunity to subscribe and join our ever-growing family here at Voice Essentials, because we're a wonderful community, and I think you'll enjoy what we have for you over at the channel. I look forward to seeing you again soon. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.